Hi, I'm Miles. For 10 years, I thought I knew what marriage meant. Trust, respect, partnership. Vanessa and I had built what I believed was a solid life together, hosting dinner parties that made our friends envious and planning vacations months in advance. But looking back, the cracks had been forming for years, hairline fractures I'd chosen to ignore. Miles, did you remember to call my mother about Sunday? Vanessa's voice carried from the kitchen, that slight edge to it I'd grown accustomed to. I looked up from my laptop. I thought you were handling that since I'm finishing the presentation for work. She appeared in the doorway, dish towel twisted between her fingers. Why do I always have to manage everything? One phone call, Miles, is that too much to ask? I'm not saying it's too much. I'm saying we agreed. We didn't agree on anything. Her voice rose sharply. You just assume I'll handle everything while you focus on your precious career. This was our new normal, conversations that spiraled into accusations before I could even track what had happened. Look, I'll call her now. I reached for my phone, the path of least resistance. Don't bother, I've already done it. She turned away, like everything else around here. The Johnson family reunion was always a production. Vanessa's extended family gathering at her uncle's lake house, 3 days of forced camaraderie and competitive reminiscing. This year marked the 15th anniversary, with relatives flying in from across the country. Miles, Greg, Vanessa's cousin, clapped me on the shoulder as we arrived. Man, you look like you need a beer. That obvious, huh? Greg lowered his voice. Vanessa's been different lately. Everything okay? Before I could answer, Vanessa appeared, sliding her arm through mine with picture-perfect precision. Greg, stop monopolizing my husband. Mother's looking for us. As she pulled me away, Greg caught my eye with a look that said more than words could. Later that evening, I found myself cornered by Vanessa's sister, Elaine, near the boathouse. Got a minute? Her expression was unusually serious. Sure. What's up? Elaine glanced around before speaking. I've been debating whether to tell you this all day. Vanessa's been talking to everyone, Miles, telling them you... God, this is awkward. What, Elaine? What's she saying? That you've been emotionally abusive, that you control the finances, check her phone, isolate her from friends? Elaine's words tumbled out. She told Aunt Carol you pushed her during an argument last month. My stomach dropped. That's completely false. All of it. I know, that's why I'm telling you. Elaine twisted her wedding band. She's planning something for tomorrow's dinner. She told Mom she's going to finally stand up for herself in front of everyone, make you apologize publicly. For things I haven't done? My voice sounded distant to my own ears. Miles, listen to me. Kevin, my husband, he went through something similar with his ex. Document everything, starting now. She squeezed my arm. And maybe don't stick around for whatever show she's planning tomorrow. As I walked back to the cabin we were sharing, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I know we haven't talked in years, but Vanessa contacted me last week asking strange questions about our relationship in college, claiming you were abusive. That's not the Miles I knew. Something weird is happening. Call me. Rachel. The pieces were falling into place, forming a picture I wouldn't have imagined. By morning, I knew exactly what I needed to do. The cabin was empty when I woke up. A note on the nightstand read, "Went for breakfast with Mom and Aunt Carol. Be ready by noon for the family photo. We need to talk before dinner." I packed quickly, throwing essentials into my duffel bag. My hands shook as I called Kevin, Elaine's husband. Miles, everything okay? Kevin's voice was concerned. Not really. Can we meet somewhere private? I need advice. 20 minutes later, we sat at a diner 10 miles from the lake house. Kevin slid a coffee toward me. Elaine told me about her conversation with you. I wish I could say I'm surprised. I stared into my cup. I don't understand why she's doing this, creating this fiction about me. Kevin leaned forward. When my ex did it, it was calculated. She was planning to leave, but wanted to control the narrative, make sure everyone sided with her. But we have joint accounts. Our house is in both names. What would Vanessa gain? Social capital, sympathy, a clean break where she's the victim. Kevin paused. Have you noticed any other changes? Money movements? New friends? My mind raced back to odd bank notifications, weekend workshops Vanessa had started attending, hushed phone conversations. She's been working late with a new colleague, Derek something, said they're collaborating on a project. Kevin's expression tightened. Call your bank, now. While Kevin ordered more coffee, I spoke with our bank. The customer service representative's voice grew increasingly concerned. Mr. Carter, there have been significant transfers from your joint savings to a new individual account in the past 3 months, nearly $40,000. My coffee turned cold as I jotted down details. After hanging up, I looked at Kevin. She's been moving money, a lot of it. Digital trail, that's good. Kevin pulled out his phone. My divorce attorney saved my life. You need to call her, today. As Kevin stepped outside to give me privacy, my phone lit up with a call from Greg. Miles, where are you? Things are weird here, man. What do you mean? Vanessa's been crying to my mom and Aunt Carol, something about finally standing up to you tonight. His voice lowered. But then I overheard her laughing with that guy from her office who showed up an hour ago. The switch was disturbing. Derek's there? My knuckles whitened around the phone. Yeah, she introduced him as her work partner. Miles, whatever's happening, it feels orchestrated. After hanging up, I called Rachel, my college girlfriend. Miles, this is bizarre, Rachel said after I explained. She contacted me claiming to be writing a paper on abusive relationship patterns. Asked if you'd ever been controlling or manipulative with me. I told her absolutely not, and she got aggressive. Insisted I must be hiding something. Would you be willing to put that in writing? I asked. Already drafted an email. This isn't right, Miles. By afternoon, I'd spoken with Vanessa's former roommate, 2 mutual friends, and my attorney. Patterns emerged. Vanessa had been systematically contacting people from my past, fishing for negative information, creating a paper trail of inquiries about fictional abuse. She's going to ambush you tonight, Kevin said when he returned, in front of everyone. Not if I'm not there, I replied, a plan forming, and not if I have evidence of what she's really doing. The lake house dining room buzzed with conversation as I slipped in through the side door. I'd traded my absence for the element of surprise, arriving just as dinner was being served. 40 pairs of eyes turned toward me as I walked calmly to the empty seat beside Vanessa. Miles! Vanessa's voice carried forced concern. Where have you been? We've been so worried. Have you? I smiled pleasantly, setting my phone on the table, voice memo app open and recording. I've been making some calls. Vanessa's smile faltered slightly. Beside her, Derek shifted uncomfortably. Everyone, this is Derek, Vanessa announced. My colleague who kindly offered to support me tonight. Her mother, Patricia, nodded approvingly. We're glad you're here, Miles. Vanessa has something she needs to address. Actually, I interrupted gently. I think I can save us some time. I turned to face Vanessa directly. You've been planning this for months, haven't you? Building a fictional case against me, contacting people from my past, moving money to a separate account? Vanessa's face drained of color. What are you talking about? This is exactly the kind of manipulation I wanted to address. Rachel sends her regards, I continued calmly. So does Michael from my old firm, and our bank's fraud department. Derek began to stand. I think you're upset, Miles. Maybe we should... Sit down, Derek. Elaine's voice cut across the table. I think we all need to hear this. Vanessa's composure cracked. You don't understand. Miles has been documenting everything, I finished for her. The $38,750 you transferred to your private account. The emails where you tried to convince my friends I was abusive. The text messages between you and Derek that your cousin Greg overheard you discussing? Gasps rippled around the table. Greg looked down, then nodded slowly. It's not what it sounds like, Vanessa insisted, her voice rising. He's twisting everything. Vanessa, her Uncle Robert spoke up. What money transfers is he talking about? It's our money. I was protecting it because he's been threatening to leave me with nothing. Vanessa's eyes darted around the table, searching for allies. I placed a folder on the table. Bank statements, phone records, sworn statements from Rachel, Michael, and 3 others you approached. I turned to face the stunned family. She planned to publicly accuse me of abuse tonight, demand I beg forgiveness for things I never did, then leave with both your sympathy and our savings. You bastard! Vanessa suddenly lunged across the table, sending glasses crashing. Derek grabbed her arm as she swung at me, her nails grazing my cheek. You think you're so smart? No one will believe you, Patricia gasped. Vanessa, stop this! Your daughter has been planning this for months, I said quietly. Ask her about the lake house rental in her and Derek's name for next weekend. Ask her about the consultations with divorce attorneys while telling me she was at work events. You went through my things? Vanessa shrieked, struggling against Derek's restraint. No need. Your browser history syncs to our shared cloud account. I stood calmly. The police are outside. I've filed reports for financial fraud and false accusations. They'd like statements from anyone willing to provide them. Derek released Vanessa's arm and stepped back. You said this was about escaping an abusive situation. You didn't mention fraud or fake allegations. Vanessa's face contorted with rage. You promised you'd back me up. We had a plan. A plan I now have on recording, I added, gesturing to my phone, along with this entire conversation. 3 months passed before I saw Vanessa again. The courthouse hallway felt too small as she approached with her attorney, her expression a mixture of anger and calculation. You didn't have to do this, she hissed. We could have handled this privately. Like you handled it privately by lying to everyone I know? I kept my voice even. The judge has the financial records, Vanessa, and the witness statements. My attorney, Marissa, stepped between us. Save it for the courtroom, Mrs. Carter. Your motion to dismiss has been denied 3 times. Inside, the proceedings moved quickly. Judge Harmon reviewed the documentation of financial fraud, the recorded dinner confrontation, and statements from family members who witnessed Vanessa's attempted assault. Your Honor, Vanessa's attorney argued, my client was protecting assets she feared would be hidden from her. This was a marriage in distress, not a criminal conspiracy. A marriage in distress doesn't involve systematic character assassination, Marissa countered. Mrs. Carter contacted 17 individuals from my client's past seeking damaging information. When none existed, she fabricated it. The judge's ruling was decisive. Full restoration of funds, a restraining order against Vanessa, and referral to the district attorney for potential criminal charges. Outside the courtroom, Greg approached with Elaine and Kevin. That couldn't have been easy, Greg said, awkwardly extending his hand. I shook it firmly. Nothing about this has been easy. The family's in shock, Elaine added. Aunt Carol keeps asking where the signs were. The signs were there, Kevin said quietly. We just didn't want to see them. Later that evening, I met my friend Thomas at his restaurant after closing. He slid a whiskey across the bar. To freedom, he toasted, and to the end of walking on eggshells. I managed a small smile. I keep asking myself if I could have prevented this. Miles, Thomas leaned forward. She constructed an elaborate lie to destroy you publicly. That's not on you. Her mother called today, I said after a moment. Patricia said Vanessa wants to meet, to apologize. And I told her some bridges can't be rebuilt once they're burned. I twisted my wedding band off, placing it on the bar. Some betrayals change who you are. Thomas nodded slowly. What happens now? The house sells next week. I start the new job in Denver next month. I took a steady breath. I'm not looking back. She'll try again, you know. People like that don't just accept defeat. Let her try. I felt lighter than I had in months. I've learned to keep receipts. My phone buzzed. A text from Elaine. Family dinner next month. You're still family to us if you want to be. You going to go? Thomas asked, reading my expression. I don't know. Maybe. I considered it. The Johnsons aren't all bad. Most of them stood by me when they saw the truth. That's how you know who your real family is, Thomas replied. They're the ones who want the truth, not just a convenient story. Outside, the summer evening hummed with possibility. For the first time in years, I didn't have to measure my words or anticipate accusations. The revenge wasn't in exposing Vanessa. It was in reclaiming my life, my reputation, and my future. Have you ever had to choose between the comfortable lie and the painful truth? Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't what you do to someone else. It's refusing to let them define who you are.